you about some printing issues that Toy and I just came up with. She printed this on her home printer. Part of the reason this looks so awful is that by default, the printer is set to print on plain paper. Half the inkjet technology is in the paper. So the printer doesn't know, unless you tell it, what kind of paper you're using. So it doesn't know that this is high-end glossy paper. So I made a setting on the Mac back there. And I was able to save it. So when you go to print, where it usually says standard in the print box, you now have an option. If you click on that and hold, you're going to get a pop-up, and it's now going to say glossy paper, high quality, which means it's going to print a little slower, high quality versus speed. So print, we have it here, now looks like this. That's all we changed was the paper setting, nothing else. Okay, so remember to change that setting. And you can have multiple settings. Matte paper also has its own setting. So if you look in the color quality dialog box, you're going to see all different types of papers. And each one is going to give you a different result. Now we did a few things to test it. This is a trick you guys should know. It saves ink and paper. So I ran several little color tests. So when you go to Photoshop, you first get that page setup dialog. You take the unchecked center image, it'll print it, it'll probably go a little smaller, and you drag it around the paper. So you do a print, I put it up in this corner, got my print, checked my color. I wanted to do it again. I went back to that box, I slid it over to the other side, did another print. The worst thing, of course, is when you forget to move it and you run the paper through twice and then you get two images on top of each other, and that's a drag. But this is a good technique. So anybody, if you have any questions, come see me and I'll show you directly on the Mac. Another thing we ran into, okay, this is what Toy printed at home, or up on this one. Again, oversaturated, but it looked kind of nice to this image. But, but not accurate to her painting. She felt a little bad about, not being honest about what the painting was. And that's a good thing. Again, here it is with the plain paper setting, which just looks awful. So oversaturated versus plain paper. We really wanted something in between. So on a couple of our settings, kind of missed a little bit of that saturation. It was kind of nice. The solution went into Photoshop, went into hue saturation, and pumped it up about 25%. And that got us sort of a nice in between. We got a little pump to the color without it being exaggerated. And that's something you can save your file as a print version. In case you want to print it again, you'll remember what you did. So we just did a save as, named it the same name, put a little print at the end of it. And you can remember. Because you come back 2 months later, you won't have any idea what you did. Another good trick is that when you're doing this kind of thing, write down your settings. Because again, you won't remember. You may not even remember the next day. Oh, God, what was that setting I checked? I did it. I wanted to match this. You won't have any idea. So just make yourself little notes and save these pages. And as you get things like paper jams or something that didn't print right, save this scrap paper, and then you can do your color tests on this. That's a lot of money in paper. The glossy paper costs, a good amount of money. It could be $50 for a pack. So that's the little printing lesson. So anybody needs me specifically, grab me and we'll talk over it now.